And welcome back to another episode. Today we have a special guest. His name is Beau Whitman. I've known you for how long is it? How long would you guess?
I don't know. I think we're almost double digits at this point. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Long-term friends. So Beau and I have been friends for a long period of time. And one of the main reasons why I want to bring him on is because he's just got a really cool story. I'm not going to spill all the beans. I really want you to go into your own story and tell your story because you're going to do it best. But he's overcome a lot in his life. And he's also achieved a lot in his life as well. One of the biggest things that he has overcome is he overcame cancer and a lot of surgeries, but you're also a former gymnast and a lot of different things. And the way that we met is that you also competed in weightlifting and we were teammates for a while and we just hit it off, became really good friends. And even though I'm not in New York as much as I want now, I know, I wish like New York is my home away from home. It kills me to be away from it, all you guys for this long. Like Calvin and I are already planning a trip out to New York and I'm going to be like staying with Blanco. We're still trying to figure out when, but we're like trying to get that done this year.
Okay.
So, but we've been friends for a really long time. And I was like, dude, like just come on and tell your story. Like, because I think a lot of people would really benefit from hearing what you're going through. I think that social media, it does a really great job of just showing the highlights. We hear this a lot and it's really cool just for people to talk about their struggles, the adversity that they go through in life and how they choose to let it build them up. I think that's a big thing is that everybody goes through struggles. Everybody goes through adversity. It's a choice though. Do you allow it to build yourself up and make you stronger or do you allow it to tear yourself down? It's totally up to you. Some of the most inspiring people I have ever met, including you, Beau, are the ones that struggled the most. So I want you to tell your story and all the different things and we'll just see where the conversation goes.
Yeah.
So Toby and I go down rabbit holes a lot. So we'll
like,
have a lot of fun.
There's nothing wrong with that. I love that.
Okay, so to get started with elevator pitch or an elevator story, tell us who you are, Beau.
My name is Beau Whitman. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I've been living in the city about, 9, almost 10 years, I think. Yeah, almost true New Yorker. Knock on wood again. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, I think the best way to describe it is I tell this story so many different ways, but like recently I found a way to tell it better. When people like look at me on Instagram and they find out who I am, they ask who I am, they call me Mr. Resilient, or they call me like someone that's like has a lot of grit. My main thing like I like talk about when I talk with patients or people that are going through something similar or that are hurt, I talk about like my golden triangle rule. It's kind of like a assessment that I do every day mentally, but also I give to other people to do, which talks about like your own grit. So you talk about like one pillar is like your resilience side, the other one is vulnerability, and then across the bottom is like your heart for your courage, and that forms what your grit is, meaning like that spark, that fire that's in you, or that athlete that's in you. So I think it's a good way to like reach out to athletes and find out what's that balance and find out where you're, to find that perfect self-center pitch. I guess the best way to start is I'm one of 7. So I have 4 older sisters, 2 younger brothers. And
damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we are. You learn something new every day.
What kind of friend are you?
What? What kind of friend?
I said, what kind of friend?
I only introduce the important ones. I'm just kidding. I love you all. We're all super, super competitive, all big time athletes. I'm very lucky that my parents were always the type of parents who were like, guys, this person's going to do soccer. Who's going to do it? This is your chance. And we got to do everything together. My sister, who's above me, she's my Irish twin. She's my life. She's my world. Her name's JD. She's the person I like followed around and did everything with. From what I was told, my whole gymnastics career started when I was 4 years old, and I kind of walked out onto the gymnastics floor to the pit, and I did a backflip. And because my sister was learning how to do it, and I was that person that just went out, major ADHD, and just flipped myself over. And then the head gymnastics coach was there. I was at Parkett's National Training Center, and my mom was the head manager there. And the head coach came over and was like, he's it. He's doing it. And then I was a gymnast for 10 plus years after that. And I mean, I guess when we start about this, my resilience and like my grit and my all this starts. My first challenge in life was I had really bad dyslexia and ADHD growing up, where I didn't speak until I was like 5, almost 6 years old, I think. Like I spoke Klingon, like didn't. My sister was the only one that understood it. Like could not do anything. Like it was really bad. I've even like I went to go see specialists. My parents even told me that like some of the doctors were like, "You're not going to high school. You're never going to graduate college. Like it's that bad." And it was there, like my like resilience to keep on pushing forward through like obstacles started with my mom. She sat me down every single night, and I would read Boxcar Kids, or I'd read all these different types, like the Magic Tree. I think it was Magic Tree House or something like that. And I would read and read and read, and then get better at speaking, get better at this, get better at that. And that was my first obstacle. So I was really emotional when I was able to graduate from Lehigh University, a D1 college, for a prestige college, and be able to do that. So that started everything. And then I guess my first injuries, and I guess if you go into that, it's like gymnastics. I was at a national ranked gymnast. I was a national ranked gymnast at Parkins National Training Center, made the U.S. junior national team. And I think it was like the week before nationals, I was on the rings and one snapped off, or I pinged off one or the other. I can't remember at this point, just because it's just happened so quickly. But I ended up tearing my bicep, my rotator cuff, and my labral. Out of one shoulder, and then the other shoulder that I landed on, I basically like blew a hole right out of the rotator cuff in the back. And it was right at that point where I was 13 at the time, and gymnastics was my life. If you guys don't know, there is a big difference between gymnasts back in early 2000s in the 90s to what it is today. Like you were practicing 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day for every single day, or you're in the gym every day and training is grueling. Now it's a little bit more restricted in a way, and it was my life. And I remember after that they're like, you have to wait 2 months because we're not cutting a 13-year-old across the chest, because that's how shoulder surgeries were done back then. And I was one of the first people at Rothman Institute to get my shoulder done arthroscopically. But it was one of those things where I was still training, I was still going to the gym, and I also didn't tell my parents. Like back then, it was like if you found out you were hurt, you lost your spot, or like you were just kind of put off to the corner, and like you wait until you get better. But I was that person that was like, I got to keep going, I got to keep on going, and I didn't tell my parents until they came in one day at like 3:00 in the morning. I'm sobbing my eyes, and my shoulder's like 3 times the size as the other one, and they're like, "We're going to the doctor." But after that, I had to sit down with Joe Stallone. He was the head coach there for the guys, and he's the head women's coach on the U.S. team, I believe, still. And with my mom, they're like, "You can't do this anymore. Like, you're good enough to do it in one event, but like overall, like it's not worth your time. Like you can get more hurt. This, and that." And after that, I decided. My mom was like, "You can do whatever you want." And I was like, I want to do it all. Like, I want to do wrestling. I want to do pole vaulting, which was, the craziest thing in the world. And I wanted to do, track and field. I want to do this. I want to do that. And gymnastics set the baseline for everything. After being a national ranked gymnast, I became a top 10 national ranked athlete in the nation for pole vaulting. I was a state champ in soccer. I was a state champ in wrestling. When I was a freshman in high school, I believe in high school, for PA, which is awesome. Go 130 class. And then I played lacrosse. I was with the diving team, and throughout that time, like things started chipping away at my body because being a gymnast is so hard. I ended up blowing out my knee once, having to get MCL and my meniscus done. Then I ended up when I was at nationals jumping for pole vaulting, shattering a pole. A piece went through my wrist. I ended up blowing my shoulder out again. Blowing my wrist out, had to get my wrist done, had to get my shoulder done. And then, they came back and like, all right, after wear and tear, like you re-tore everything in your one shoulder, let's go in and re-clean it up. It's been so long, all the procedures new, we can put new anchors in, we can do this, and that. So they redid that shoulder. And, it kept on going. I went to Lehigh University, competed in college. During my college season, I ended up straining my hamstring in 3 places, was out for a while. I re-injured my wrist at one point. Basically, I lived in the sports med there. So, Greg, if you ever listen to this, thank you. You are my life, my world. I was there every day at 5 o'clock, and I was there every day at 7 p.m. after class, ice bathing and doing contrast. Every single day. It's the only thing that got me through it. And then after that, I actually was going to move to California um, for an animation job that I was looking at, and then I ended up moving to New York City because there's a chance of working at NYU for track and field, and I ended up working at an animation firm, and I realized this is the stupidest thing in the world. No offense, animators, but like to go in and someone that's super ADHD energetic that's sitting at a desk from 7 a.m. until 10 o'clock at night, and then you don't get the lift or you lift late at night. It's the craziest thing. I ended up leaving, and I was the head coach at NYU for 6 years, and then we kind of met my first year, and Olympic weightlifting was like my, like, I guess my peace of mind type of thing, because it was one of those things where it was like, it's so technical. It's like gymnastics. It's all technique. It's all form. And it's like your own little space, your own little bubble. I still have a video of you and I. It's the funniest shit in the world where
Really?
I'm doing it's. I have to show it to you after this because I found on my Instagram the other day. It's me doing like a high hang at like 245, and I drop it like high hang up, and I just clean this thing right into the power, or I do a full catch, and you're in the background. You're like you're just like, what? Like, that was great. It was like something, and I was like laughing so hard. I just see your face. It was great, but like, it made me happy. But I was like training for that for Olympic weightlifting. Like, I tried my CrossFit thing back in the day, and like my body just never kept up. Like I did the Open 1 year in New York City or on the East Coast, and one workout I placed like top 5, and I was like, I'm done. I was like, this is great. I was like, my body hurts. I can't walk. And then, I mean, I still got into CrossFit. I used to run one of the biggest events in New York City for a CrossFit event that had like 1,500 people, flex on the beach, flex in the mall. And then I worked at like Wadapalooza with Dylan and Matt O'Keefe, Mid-Atlantic Challenge. I still like to jump in and help in whenever I can, which is awesome. So I stayed connected there. And now I'm coaching 2 athletes, which are great still. And Olympic weightlifting, I was like, this is my passion. I ended up working with Dimitri Trumok for a little bit, who is a world champion in the clean and jerk in Ukraine. If anyone does not know that, to give you some context. And this girl named Heather Farmer, who's the one that really got me in Olympic weightlifting when I first moved to the city. She is she went to Pan Am's and U.S. Nationals, and I remember, I think my first injury is when I blew up my wrist, caught a 300-pound clean, and it just went like wrist, full wrist. Yeah. And I just remember, like, if you guys don't know who Dimitri Trumok is, he's like, no. He comes over and he like one arm lifts the bar up and walks away, and then puts it down because he's this monstrosity of a guy. And it was one of those things where like my wrist just blew up kind of thing, and it was just like, fuck, okay, this is another one. Had to get that done. And then it was, I think, 8 months after that, you and I started hanging out more at the gym. You were guest coaching and everything, and it was like, I was getting ready because there was like a meet coming up. I think it was like Brooklyn Barbell meet or whatever. And I was like, I've already competed once or twice, and I had like a 130, a 230 total or something. But the weight class below me, it was a year where like the weights dropped like a lot for AO finals or like for like the top tier, and it was like 242 for the weight class below you. And I was like, we could do this kind of a thing. Like, and Blanco was just like, you don't need to lose the weight. Jane was like, you're an idiot. Like, no, why are you dropping this weight? I was already like 180, and I dropped down to like, I think it was like the 72 kilo class or something. It was like, I was like 168 or something.
Oh boy.
But like, it was not that bad. Like, I was used to it for dropping weight and everything, and I was still hitting my weights. And it was at that meet where everything went. I don't know if you know that. That's where everything went to shit, that meet. Like, I snatched a PR. I snatched like 235, I think, or I snatched close to my PR. And then I was clean and jerky, and I caught a clean and jerk. And as I stood up, it was like, nope. And I went to like bounce it, and I just like, nope. And it was funny because the person sitting in the front row was the head strength and conditioning coach, named Kayla Green, who I know really well. And she knew all about my injuries and everything. Yeah. And it was like, I've never broken a bone in my body. But it was one of those things where I thought I bulged a disc. I thought I broke my back, and I went like this. And I remember I walked over, and Blanco had to lay me down. I was like, I can't move. Like, something's wrong. I had her come over. She was looking at my back, like trying to fix me, and she ended up like readjusting me a little bit. But she was like, "You're just locked up. I can't move you. I don't know what's wrong. Like, you're probably gonna have to get X-rays." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." And I remember that this is on like a Sunday. And the next morning, I had to coach 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. straight. And oh
Oh,
yeah.
oh my
So
gosh.
like I get home, and this is also like midday. So I get home, I jump into bed, I roll out of bed, and I am having the hardest time walking. Like I was in such a comfy position that once I walked, like my back was swollen, you could tell, my hips were swollen, like, and I have a very high pain tolerance. Like I went and saw a pain doctor once, and he was like, if you break a bone to 10, like your broken bone is like for you is like a 6 or a 5. So like I know I have a high pain tolerance, and like this is something where like I can put on a front, and something I used to be really good at with all my pain. Like I can go into a class if I'm at like a 9 out of 10 and still be like, "What's up, everyone? How are we doing?" And then once everyone leaves, it's like take a deep breath, find your center, build yourself, be open with yourself, write down in your journal how bad you feel, blah blah blah. But it was crazy because like I was sitting there and I was hiding it pretty well, but people were like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "What? They're like, you are sheet white. Like, you look like you're about to ball." And it was one of those like pains where you sit down for 30 seconds, then you have to get up, and then you sit back down. And like the getting up and getting down is what made it okay, and you could last 30 seconds. And I finally had like the head coach that was up there. I was up on the Upper East Side, I think it was Upper East Side CrossFit, EVF it was called. And I was like, I have to go home. I like called my mom. I was like, I need to go see the doctor. Something's wrong. And I get home, like I get in the car. It's like 5 o'clock at this point, 3 o'clock at this point in the afternoon. I get back to like Abington, PA. We go to the ER. I see like my main doctor first, and he's just like, "What's going on with your neck?" First of all, and I'm like, "Well, it pots my collarbone." Like,
Oh.
it's like a good. Yeah, he's like, he goes, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was straps 235, 245. Went like this. I went to save it and just felt the pop. Feels fine. Like it's still there. Like my left shoulder's still higher than my right. It's the funniest thing. He's like, we don't have to reset it. It's just gonna be like that. And he was like, I was like, yeah, it's black and blue. It's swollen. But he's like, that's not right. And like, it looked like a baseball was here. I was like, and like, you also remember back then I was like double the size I was now. I was like this like fit monster type of person. Jack's kind of person. Yeah. Big traps. And I was like, that's just my trap. And he was like, that's not right. And he was like, how old are you? And I'm like, this age. He was like, why don't we just rule out some stuff? He was like, are you sick at all? I'm like, I'm the healthiest I've ever been in my life. Like, I am PRing my 200 that I'd never done before. I'm, back squatting 400, deadlifting 600. Like, I'm doing, like, I was in the prime of, like, my fitness career. I felt like even before gymnastics and all this other stuff, like, never felt this way. And he was like, let's go get some tests. We do this test, blah, blah, blah. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning at this point, and I still haven't eaten all day. Okay. So like I'm sitting there and I'm like, Mom, I want Wawa. If any of you do not know what Wawa is the greatest thing on the earth. Go to it. So I'm like, that's all I want. There's 24 hours. That's all I need. And then also like I was like, I need to get home. I'm supposed to fly tomorrow morning with my best friend because he's proposing in 2 days, like in Chicago. So I'm like, I have to get ready. I have to pack. I have to do this. I have to do that. And at like at 1 o'clock in the morning, the guy comes around who's like the doctor on this on call. He pulls out like his gets off the phone. And he goes, "There's no easy way to put this. I just got off the phone with the oncologist. He goes, you have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. You probably have about 9 months, if that, or 8 months." And I'm sitting there, and my first reaction was like, "Hey, let's go." I'm like, and like I was joking the whole time. Like, it's my back, it's broken. I'm like, something else. My mom's like, "Shut up, you've been through enough." Like, she's tired of me saying all this shit. And it's kind of one of those things where I just was just like, it's kind of it's the next thing. I'm like, I'll just deal with it. I'll go through the motions. I'll go talk to whoever I need to talk to. The best person is. What's my rehab program? What's this? What's that? I'll go back to the wall, back to back. And my mom used to work in the hospital, and she got up and she was like, no. And she like walked down the end of the hall. It's probably like a good 100 feet, but it was like at that moment, like I got on my bed, did one of those like lean things where like I saw my mom's face go like sheet white to the point where I was like, ew, this is real. And then I was like thinking at the same time, like, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Like, what are we talking about? Like, it like didn't really click. And then it kind of clicked, and I was like, okay. And my mom came back and she was like, we're fine. We're going to go to the cancer center tomorrow across the street. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I was like, listen, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. They're not open. You know what is open though? Wawa. She's like, this is serious. I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, we're going to go home. We're going to eat. We'll go tell Dad when we get home. And you know what? Like, we'll kind of tell everyone in the morning. We'll get the shit together. You'll make your phone call. They both worked in healthcare. So like they were able to like thank God, very lucky. They're able to pull strings, get me in the next morning, do this, and that. I was like, listen, it's not real until I'm laying in the bed with an IV bag in my arm. Let's just call it that. We have no idea. And my mom wouldn't let me see the scans. She was like so sick to her stomach. I overheard her multiple times during like the next month, like, I came look at them like it's real, blah blah blah. And I remember like we went to the cancer center the next day, and it was like they were same thing. They're like, yeah, took blood, did scan. They're like, the 8 months, if that. And they were like, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna try and figure out, blah blah blah. And it was weird because like my whole mental side shifted. I was just on the cloud nine, like this is gonna be fun, a new adventure. But at the same time, like this back thought was like, this is my way out in a way, which sounds so dark, but it was like when you have so many surgeries, and at this point, guys, I had 7 reconstruction surgeries total, and your pain level's so high, and like every day you have to focus on like 2 hours of PT, and if you don't do your PT, you're in pain everywhere to the point where like you can't move, like. And I'm also allergic to a lot of pain meds. I think it's almost like 75 to 80% pain meds. So like every time I had major reconstruction surgeries, they gave me 600 milligrams of like Tylenol. And I was like, thank you. But I got a lot of nerve blocks, but that didn't do anything either. So, I always thought about, I was like, that was in the back of my mind. Even on that night, I went home and like mom didn't know, but like I wrote down, it's what I'm doing with everyone or how I'm doing with everyone. And I was like, we're getting dark. We don't know anything yet. You know what I mean? But it was like, at the same time, I was like, it was like that big relief of like, I'm done. Like, this is my way out of like my pain-free type of thing. And it was interesting because one of my good friends, Nick Pags, I think you know him. Nick Pags, he used to be in the fitness world for a long time.
I think so. Sounds familiar.
Yeah. He came up to me and he was talking to me about everything and all that. And he was just like, how can you say like, you're done, like your way out, kind of this and that. And I was like, I'm a big believer, like, everyone's here on this earth for something. And I was like, I kept a journal and I still got to find it. I think I've lost it when I was moving around, or I lost it during the cancer with my chemo brain and everything. But I used to have the journal for almost about 2 years, where I wrote down how many people came to every single class and how many people were at every single event that I put on, every single person that was at if I went to semis and I was a head staff member there helping those people out, doing this and this, how many people I did one-on-ones with and all that stuff. And within 1 year, it was like almost like 100,000 people plus that I helped. And the next year is almost like 200 because of all the different events I was doing, going around doing gymnastics seminars, coaching here, competing in competitions, helping other out. It was like this big thing. And I was like, in 2 years, and like I told him, I was like, in the past 5 years, I probably helped almost 1 million people, or like 800,000, but it's like something around those numbers. And I was just like, I'm good. It's like, it's not saying I'll punch my ticket, but like I made a big difference, and I was only like 27 at this time. Yeah. And I was like, I'm inspiring, I'm doing this, I think it's awesome. And after that, we went, I think it was like a month later went by, and then it came back saying, they found a really rare form, or like an anatomy. It's like 6 a.m. in the morning, you get a phone call, and it's like, there's something up with your cells. We had to come get it checked, and they found out it was like this super rare case of cancer that's only been found in like 500 people, or something like super low. And the guy was like, you're gonna live, but it's gonna suck. And I was like, and the first thing that came through was like, all my thoughts about like, this is the easy way out kind of went away, and I kind of was just living the moment, kind of like, I can't really voice myself because being one of 7, your mom, your dad, and also like cousins are at the house at this point. They're all just like, this is amazing, and you kind of fade in the background, but at the same time you go through the motions. I had to go through 5 months of chemotherapy, 8 hours a day for a week, and then I went one day, and it was like a heavy thing for bleomycin, and it was, it's a trip. I thought the chemo was the easiest part, I won't lie, which is hard to say, mostly because you don't remember a lot of it. You go in, and I never threw up. That was a good thing. There were days where I was definitely ill with my stomach, but MSK, they do an amazing job with their medications, which is awesome. But like, there are some days I would go in and sit down for 8 hours and then go home, and I'd be watching something, and then I'd wake up and be like, yo, what are we watching today? Like, why aren't we watching this movie still? And they're like, Bo, that was 2 days ago. And it was just like, yeah, it's like you just have this like blur out kind of a thing. It's called chemo brain. I still have it. They said it could go up to 10 years, but I'm just going to say I have it still because it sounds like it. And I feel like it's some days where I just don't know where I am some days, or just like I'll be going to speak and just nothing comes out. It's like, it's something that always happens. But after that, I had to get, I got my chemo done, all the masks got strung, and then I met with this surgeon, and he put me in my place very, very quickly, because I was this cocky kid that always talks about what I've been through, not like to everyone, but someone asked, I would just go through list: shoulder reconstruction, wrist reconstruction, here's metal, here's a plate, here's a pin, like this, and that. And this guy comes in, it was the funniest thing in the world, because he brought in a folder. He was like, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say my real name. I go by Beau, but Beau's not my real name. He walked in, he was like, Beau Whitman. I'm like, yeah. And he goes, no, closes the door. And we all were like, comes in and goes, 3592. I'm like, yes, that's my birthday, March. Yeah, Beau Whitman. He goes, and he comes over and goes, security number, like social security, right? I'm like, yes, that's it. Why? He goes, okay. He goes, there's no reason why you should have this. Like, you're the fittest person. Like, usually people that have this are like, obese, overweight, like they're late in their 60s, but it's like, he's never seen it this bad. He's like, it's the top 1%. He was like, have you ever even seen your scans? I'm like, no. He was like, went over, looked at the scans. He goes, you have a massive aorta artery. If you were to work out, it would burst and you would have under a minute to live. And then he goes, you have another mass in like the side of your hip / stomach that's the size of a softball. He goes, and then you have the thing in the center of your chest, like right below, in your lungs, below your lungs, going into your stomach and pelvis and everything. That's literally like the size of a water ball. It was like everywhere. And then I had it all throughout my neck, going into my shoulder and everything. He was just like, I don't know how you're standing. He goes, you should not be walking right now because of the pain that you're in. I was like, I'm at like a 6. And he was like, all right, well, this is going to be the worst surgery you've ever had in your life. And I kind of chuckled. He was like, you have no idea. And I was like, well, he was like, no. Those are like walks in the park compared to what you're about to do. And I thought, and like the look he gave me, like people give that aura off. It was kind of one of those things where I like immediately like kind of like absorbed it. I was like, okay, we'll see. And then I ended up having my surgery. I had my whole stomach, the pelvic bone up to like right below my second rib, like fully opened up. So right below the middle of the chest. And I'm not gonna lie, it was probably the worst feelings of my life, waking up, because you just wake up and you can't sit up because your abs are fully cut in half. And that's what he said. He was like, you have an 8-pack from being a gymnast. Your core is the strongest part of your body, but I have to tear through every single microfiber muscle in that wall. And then I had to re-staple it. I had 300 staples going all the way up and down, and then like a full thing. It's a dope scar. It looks cool. I tell people I got bit by a shark sometimes when I'm at the beach. But like the first thing they do, it was supposed to be like a 12-hour surgery. I think it was a 14-hour surgery. But like the first thing you do is you get up and you have to walk around the ward like 2 times. And of course my buddy Nick Pags is there, and I think my mom was there, my brother was there, and of course everyone knows who I am. I get up and I fucking walk 6 times around the damn block instead of 1 time around like an idiot. But it was one of those things, I was in there for 2 weeks, had to get up, had to walk, had to get up, had to walk, had to get up, had to walk. And it was like, it is the most humbling thing when I say this. People work on your damn core. Like, not like doing V-ups and sit-ups, but stability holds, and like not plank holds, like hollow holds, or like cable, like Pallow presses. Like, don't take it for granted, because your core is what makes you stand up and also makes you walk. Because it took me like a month to relearn how to walk. Even to bend over to sit, like it was the hardest thing to do. And then after that, I was like, I went from being 185 pounds with like 10% body fat, solid muscle. And after the chemo and after the surgery, I was 145 pounds, and I lost like 75% of my muscle mass. It was like skin and bone. I also look really good with a shaved head. People tell me I'm actually contemplating going back to a shaved head. So TBI on that. But yeah, I mean, that was my whole cancer thing. And I mean, when I found out, when I opened up to everyone too, I opened up on Instagram. I think when they found out I wasn't going to die in, a month, that's when I was able to tell everyone. And it was the hardest part for me, because I was coaching like 40 classes a week, plus training, plus, one-on-ones. And I disappear for a week, and everyone's like, where the hell did Beau go? And I'm also at like 6 different gyms, so like everyone's freaking out, everyone doesn't. And then I had to be like, I can't tell you guys yet, just something happened. And then I got to tell everyone, I posted a thing on Instagram of my head shaved, just being like, hey, joke's on you, cancer, I look better with a shaved head. which is funny. It was great. And then, everyone found out I wasn't going to die on top of that, which is awesome. And after I did that, I moved back to the city. Um, I got back into fitness. I got back into helping people with cancer. Um, Started a program to help people that were going through cancer with mental health mindset, physical therapy, with like just fitness oriented stuff from gymnastics foundation training. Because when I got out of it, there was nothing. I went to a YMCA and they gave me a gym, a piece of paper. When I talked to the vice president of Livestrong, and they were like, "Go to YMCA, they'll give you a program. We have a great program," and it was how to lose weight in 10 days, basically. And it was literally I was just like, no. And then I got certified as a fitness cancer specialist through ACE. Amazing program. They're ever growing. Every time there's something new study that comes out, I suggest if anyone wants to learn anything about it or get their stuff on it, it's all aligned. It's an amazing company and program. And I started helping people. And it was one of those things where, I was thinking like, what's next? And then I'm at now 9 surgeries. And last May, again, I was getting back to a really good point in fitness. Mm-hmm. I picked up a barbell for the first time in a couple of years, and I power cleaned 265, and I was like, hell yeah, this is great. And I remember it was like 4:00 in the morning, and I get up, I go down, I get to my gym, which is down in in West Village. Mm-hmm. And I'm walking down the stairs. I probably take 2 steps and I just eat shit. And all I remember is being woken up by one of my clients that morning. And I definitely whacked my head, definitely had a concussion. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I went to step and my knee was just gone. I could walk on it. It felt fine, but I knew it was one of those things when you tear so many things, you just know. Yeah. And I kind of stayed off of it all day. I was on crutches by that afternoon because I was a little smart. I've been through this a little bit. And I remember calling my mom. I was like, I need to do surgery. I'm like, something's really wrong. She was like, what do you mean? I'm like, the whole knee needs redone. She was like, be serious. I'm like, no, I need to go see it. I need to go to HSS. I need to get this done. And I remember I sat down with the main surgeon. His name's Dr. Cordasco. And he's the head of sports medicine there. And he goes, all right, what seems to be the problem? I was like, I need a new ACL. My MCL, my meniscus are torn, I know. And my IT band is probably shredded. And he was just like, tell me. And then he looked at the scans. He's like, your ACL's fine. He goes, it's a little tethered up here. I don't, it's okay. If I need to do it, I'll do it. He goes, it's probably just your meniscus and MCL. And your IT bands, there's nothing wrong with it that I can see. I'm like, I looked at him, I was like, you're going to get in there. I want to sign everything that if you go in there and find stuff, I want you to do the whole entire knee. Bolts and all, whatever you have to do, I want you to do it. And he just chuckled. He's like, okay. And fast forward a month or a month and a half later, I wake up from the surgery and my leg's in a ginormous thing, and it has a thing in it, a scar going up this way and another scar going up the side of the leg, and I'm just fierce. I'm like, what did you do? Did you do all of it? Was I right? And the nurse comes in and was like, I've never seen him so pissed off. I'm like, why? She was like, you were right. You got in there and your ACL was shredded with holes punctured through it. Your MCI, meniscus and MCL were completely gone. Your IT band was just fully in shambles. And she was like, apparently other parts of your hamstring or your top of your quad had holes in it. It's all wear and tear from the chemo and all the other stuff. So, and he came in, he was like, I had to redo everything. So I ended up getting a full 2-inch screw put right into my shin bone, my patella put into there, redid my MCL and my meniscus. And then he ended up putting a plate up above, mid thigh on the outside, reattaching my IT band, looping it around a different pin below, and putting a little button plate up above. Mm-hmm. That was last May. I just passed that year in 2 weeks, knock on wood. And I'm competing in High Rocks this weekend. Let's go. Let me tell you, I have a meeting with this after my partner. We made it very clear that this race is how the knee feels. Mm-hmm. So we are running very slowly and we're going to see what happens. Mm-hmm. but yeah, it's crazy. My mindset now is I seem upbeat a lot right now, but there are still times like over the past year and a half where I do feel really lost on what I'm doing. I love what I do. I help people every day, but there's still that it's been coming out more in terms of, like, my parents believe in the whole everything happens for a reason, but I believe, like, I was given that chance to leave. It's like you get to the gates and they're like, not your time.
Yeah.
But for me, there's still times where I wonder, like, that was a moment that was stolen from me. And it's not to say that I don't, everything's bad here. I live with an amazing girlfriend who I love to death. I moved with her after 3 months of knowing her, dating her. When you're 32, when you're both 32, you don't fuck around. But I knew it right when she walked into one of my classes, just like this. It was great. And everything's going well, and life's good. My body feels pretty damn good right now. I'm figuring things out. I figured out I was at Power Monkey. I told you a couple of weeks ago. If you guys don't know what that is, and it's an amazing CrossFit and like fitness experience. Dave Durant, who I know really well, puts it on, and it's in a camp in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, which is awesome. But like one of the biggest things, like you come around with white, well-minded people. One of the things with my cancer, they removed like 60% of my lymph nodes through my body, and I found out like after I work out, like I cramp, or I'm like, I'll do a bicep workout and my biceps look like 4 times the size for 3 days. It's quite awesome, let me tell you. Like, it's great, but at the same time, it's like I'll do that workout and then I'll go in the next day and I'll try and do something else, and I can't because everything's so backed up, and then I'm like nodding everywhere. And it's because my lactic acid was building up. It had no way to filter, because your lymph nodes help a lot in filtering it. And I just found that out. It took 3.5 years to figure it out. So I'm 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So we're now 6 years from diagnosis of the cancer out, almost. About 5.5, 6 years. But we're only about, I would like to say, 3 years out fully from it. So that is what's up now.
That's it.
But,
That's it.
That's it.
Such a short story.
I can tell you what I did in my
Holy
other.
shit.
Yeah, I did break my first bone last December. I will say that. I was running across the West River Highway my 5 o'clock canceled, so I was like, I'm already up. It's 4:45. I'm going for a run. I ran across the West River Highway, and a car came and did not see me, and I kind of jumped out of the way, and my foot landed in a pothole. And my foot, of course, when I roll an ankle, like I don't really roll an ankle, but my foot went, the whole like the L, it makes the L. And it was one of those things where I was like, it's fine. I like wrapped it. I was on it for 9 hours because I had 9 sessions straight. I get home, I wake the next morning, it is like this thing. I go into my PT, I'm like, and I'm walking fully on it. I'm like, doesn't hurt, but he goes, go get x-rays. I've never got x-rays on it. It's still massive. But the guy that looked at it was like, yeah, you have 2 hairline fractures, most definitely. I was like, okay. So yeah, that's so there's a lot.
Can you catch a break? We need to put you into a bubble or something like that.
I need to be the next bubble boy. I think it'd be hilarious. I want to do it for Halloween or as an April Fool's joke and to say I'm Bubble Boy, because they kind of look like the guy apparently. I don't know. Some people have told me I have, so it's kind of funny.
Goodness. So that was a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So
a lot. And like you said before, like you do have more of a positive demeanor, right? Yeah. And just knowing you're just an optimistic guy, and you like having fun. You like making people laugh. You like making impact in people's lives. But
I'm also a dark-sided person too. Like, it's funny when I'm coaching class and people are dying on the floor, and I go, my 4th round of chemo was a lot harder than this. Let's go.
But okay, sometimes it is a good kick in the ass where it's like, I think honestly, sometimes we do need that reminder.
Yeah.
It's like we get in the moment of like something is so tough. And when you zoom out and look at what other people are going through, it's like, yeah, it's actually really not that bad. Let me just get back to work now.
Yeah.
So sometimes that is. But I wanted to ask you, okay, so like obviously you went through those tough times. And I know a lot of people in their own way get stuck in this hole, and they feel like they're trying to dig themselves out and try to get back to their best selves where they're happier. But a lot of people just feel like they can't get themselves out. Like, were there any things that you implemented into your life that helped you kind of keep your head afloat when things got dark?
I mean, I think you have to remember too, there's no going back to where you were.
Mm-hmm.
Like people always say, "Oh, I need to get back to how I was then." You're not that same person. Everything's so different. Like, there's no way I can get back to. There's a possibility I could, but I don't want to get hurt again. To get back into the shape I was really in back then, it's possible, but like the amount of time and work to get to that position, what would that accomplish me going forward right now?
Mm-hmm.
I think like for me, when I'm in my darkest like positions, I kind of, and like it's funny because like before I moved in with my girlfriend, like I was always like, I'm a minimalist, so I have nothing. Like I have my clothes, I have my laptop, I have a TV. That's it, and an Xbox, of course, for every guy. But it was like I lived in a hole in the wall. Like the room behind me, like this kitchen I'm in, that was my bedroom. Like my bed fit on all three walls, and then it had like, and every place I lived for like 8 years in the city, 6 years in the city, 7, whatever. And now that was what I lived in.
Yeah, which is pretty typical living in New York. Like, space is a commodity.
Yes.
Like, you got to get used to living in like small studio
But
apartments if
like,
you want to live there.
I mean, my best analogy of this is just, it's embracing that darkness, but like not in a depressed part, but more like I remember it was just like I was in the worst part of my life, after my cancer. It was after my cancer, even before, like I was going out drinking way too much. I was just like, in a different headspace. And I remember like one day I was like in my pitch black room and I just turned on my light and I was just like, this is me. I'm alone. I'm in the dark. But then it's like, it's funny. It's like as I did that, like I sat down on like my Xbox. My Xbox turns on. It's like, Mom, the TV like lights up. I'm like, but like I'm not alone. Like I have this in front of me, and it's like you rebuild from where you are, and you kind of bring in like the things that like helped you along the way. So like for me, fitness was my big thing, and like I do something every year on my birthday. I will backflip. This year was the first year I ate shit in forever. Really mad about it because my client walked down and he made me mess up. As I like mid flip saw him, I was like, kind of ate it, got back up. But my first thing I told my mom was like, I want a backflip and I want a handstand. I was like, that's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was like 6 months after my stomach surgery, I was like testing the waters and I did it. And I was like, after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to get back to holding it for 2 minutes. Yeah. Or I'm going to get back to doing this, and that. And like, I brought that in. And then the other thing is like, how can I keep helping people when I'm stuck during COVID? This is also, guys, if you need a timeline, like I got diagnosed with cancer. And then as I was going through chemo, and when I finished chemo, that's when COVID hit.
Oh God. Are you
serious?
When
that's when I had to move back home. And like, it was funny hearing people complain about like the masks and everything. I was wearing masks already for like 8 months at this point. Yeah. And I was already used to it. So, I mean, I think it's, you just bring things slowly back and you rebuild into whatever. It's like moving to a new city. What do you do when you move to a new city? All right, what am I going to look at? What the next bar is? Or like, what's the best bar? Or what's the best place to eat? Or what's the best fitness place? Where does everyone do community runs? It's like that's where you start. You just start small. Yeah. I think that's the best thing that helps.
Yeah. So it sounds like big parts of it was like one, setting like just small goals, like realistic, like you're no longer the person you were before, but what can you do, and start setting those goals. But it sounds like I want to dive in a little bit more, is like it sounds like a big part of who you are and what brings the best out of you is fitness, and also the community that comes with it. Do you think that the fitness and the community is what held you together a lot?
Yes, family was a big part. I was with
that too. Yeah.
I think it's also just being open. I mean, I remember the biggest thing I had to tell the fitness people were like, I would go up to, like, and I think you know this. Like, I used to go to these fitness trainer events, and I was one of the most in shape people there. Like, I was throwing people around like with weights, like with cardio. I was finishing first and all these things, and then to come back and like, people to see this person that was this like, big person type of thing, and then go to being this like shaved head, like can barely pick up a barbell or even like a 10-pound weight kind of thing. A lot of people, they're just like, hey, like they ask you the same questions. How can we help you? What can you do? And I remember I was in front of all of them. I was like, guys, you need to get a grip. Like, just talk to me. Mm-hmm. I'm still Beau. Nothing's changed. And once I did that, everyone's just like, what's going on? Do you want to come hang out? Let's come do this. Let's do it. And it got rid of that whole, can we ask how things are? Like that hesitation kind of thing. And like that's one of the biggest thing I tell people that I know that have cancer when I work with them. I'm like, just be honest with how you want to be talked to. I mean, like, I don't care. Anyone can ask me anything. That's the point. I have no reserves now.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. That's amazing. So a lot of that vulnerability that you're
yeah,
talking about too, that was really helpful.
yep,
Okay, so I want to dive a little bit more because you say now you coach other people who
yeah,
have just recovered from cancer, correct?
yes.
Can you dive a little bit more into details of what specifically that looks like?
Yeah. So I've gone back and forth on this program that I built. The first time I did it was people that were going through cancer, and I had about 60 people on it. And by the end of 6 months, we had two, unfortunately, just because of the types of cancer they had. It took a very big mental strain on me. It still has today. I'm very picky with who I work with if they're still going through treatment, just because they need to be signed off by a doctor and all that. But most of the people I work with now are people that are in remission or are fully have beaten cancer. Um, and it's a 3-step thing that we do. We do them. It depends what the person wants. Usually, I do a nutrition side with them. I do a mental health side with them, and then I do a physical, like a fitness side with them. Every cancer is different. It could be like mine, where you lose every single muscle in your body, and you have to restart from scratch, which is also a gift because, like for me, my body imbalances were so all over the place from gymnastics, all my surgeries, that I got to restart and fix a lot of my injuries in my shoulders and my back, my neck, which was awesome. But my hips and my knees don't lie, and they still suck. But with everyone else, like it's either that or they gain a ton of weight, or they lose. Like for me, the biggest thing was my endurance and my lungs. So it's learning how to work out during these times. What's the best way to get back into it, and also at the same time, like the reason why I do is like people need people that have gone through it. You can't go to a regular trainer and be like, they'll be like, push it, push it, push it, and be like, well, I can't breathe. And they're like, well, it's okay, like you'll get your breathing back. And it's like, no, you don't understand what, like I've been through that, so I can relate and say, okay, go back to what we used to do with the balloon and breathe in with the balloon, or we're doing a polygraph, not polygraph, I'm blanking on what it's called, pulmonary function test. Yeah, got it. With a toy that we used to use that everyone used to get. And I'm like, imagine using that, take your deep breaths and do that and that. And it's like those little connections that only like us would, like people in the cancer community would know about. That's what helps them. Sometimes it's just the mental side of things. Other times it's just nutrition. Sometimes it's all three. My program that I do is called Rebuild to Inspire. Just because it's like as you're rebuilding yourself, you're also inspiring the people around you for what you're doing, and you're inspiring not just them but yourself. So
That's amazing. Is it in person, online, or?
So I do in person. I also do a lot of it online. I have a next round starting hopefully in a couple months, or I have people that always ask about it, and I'll take people on if they ask about it right away. I used to do big groups. I'm looking to get back into the big group stuff with people. I like doing a little community. Like I'll do 10 people at a time. So then they all can work together and, stay connected. I think it's great. The first time I did it, I had someone from Dubai. I had someone from California, Texas, Alaska, like New York. It was all over the place. I had someone in New York here that I got to work with. I still work with about 4 people in New York City right now, currently. About 6 actually. 4 are new. 2 of them are old ones that I've worked with over 4 years, which is great since the cancer started. I met them, and then when I got out, I started working with them, which is awesome.
Oh, that's amazing! Wow, that's a lot, dude.
Yeah.
I will definitely say, like, again, we tell these stories because it can be really quite inspiring. Everything that you went through, you're still using it to be your best self, right? Like you got cancer, and a lot of times people get cancer and they, unfortunately, some do get defeated.
Yeah.
But a lot of people like you are like, and your clients that you're working with are like, no, like I need to reach out. I need to connect. I need to get better. I can use this to create a whole new me, a new identity. So it's really cool to hear that. And I think, again, going back to what I was talking about before, where it's like, where you're like, I get dark a little bit. Sometimes people need a little bit of a perspective shift.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people are struggling with like just general healthy people, right? Or like, oh, but I'm busy. Oh, but my kids are like, it's stressful time during the year. And it's like, your health is a gift.
Yep.
Like there are people that are going through their own struggles in their own ways, and they still figure out a way to do it because they see it as a gift. And it's a big perspective punch, I call it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's not that bad. Like
Yeah.
you can still do it. It is a gift if
Yep.
you choose to make it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm doing the High Rocks thing this weekend. If people don't know what it is, it's a crazy thing to do.
Can you go a little bit more in depth on what it is?
Yeah, you run 1,000 meters, you ski 1,000 meters. It's like 7 different events with like running in between, but you ski, you push a sled, you pull a sled, you do walking lunges, farmer's carries, wall balls, burpee broad jumps, and then you run in between all of them. And I'm doing it with a partner. But the guy that I brought it up as a joke, and then someone was like, let's do it. And then one of my friends paid for my ticket and was like, you're doing it. And I was like, I haven't done any type of competition since before cancer, basically. Yeah. So he was like, this is your way to get back out there. And it's kind of like perception shift. I was like, I don't want to do this. And like, I've been running for the past, I've run now. It's a thing, apparently.
I'm running
I ran
too.
in college. I thought I gave it up in college. But like, I used to run like a 5:30 mile, a 5:45 mile. And I used to be able to do it for 3 miles. It'd be like, feel great. Mm-hmm. Now, I might be dying when I'm running like an 8-minute mile. And I'm just like, it's one of those things I'm running, and I have it happen to me every week. I'll be running a 3 or like a 5-mile run. I'll be like, I am so freaking out of shape. And it's just like, I got to that point finally, I think it was like last week at the beginning of this week, where I was like, I don't care anymore. And it's just like, this is where I'm at. Like, I'm going to go just finish it. Mm-hmm. If I get below an hour and 10 minutes, I'll never do it again. And I'm on to the next thing. But knowing me, if I do get it below an hour and a 10, I'm going to look at my partner and be like, when are we going to the next one? And are we going to pro? And it's like, I mean, my PT even told me, he was like, if you come back here with your knee screwed up, pardon my French.
There's Toby's dog.
Yep. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's amazing. Okay. So, and then now currently.
Yes.
You're in it's like a competition, right?
Yeah, kind of.
What's the name of it? Mr. Health again?
It's Mr. Health and Fitness.
Health and Fitness. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, so I think they do it every year. I didn't see it last year. Maybe it just didn't come up my thing, but it's a big magazine organization. And it's Mr. Health and Fitness, and there's a Mrs. Health and Fitness. So it's like side by side, which is awesome. But what you do is, if you win, you get on the cover and you get a spread of their big magazine that's worldwide, and then you get like $20,000 cash prize.
Wow.
And I was sitting there, and like, I always trying to find a way to get back. I always try and find a way to, do something different. And I've done different things before, like with my story. I mean, I was on Men's Health before my story. I did different things in fitness beforehand. I was like, this would be cool to do because it's all about the people. I don't have to go up and lift and show everyone this is me lifting after cancer. Like, I just want to get my message across and what I want to do with the publicity. And I want my company that I'm trying to build right now, the Rebuilt to Inspire, to go globally. And I want it to be something where when it grows, I can have people that also are survivors join and make it a cancer survivor actual company that grows into something bigger and better. And then, if people want to join on that are top in their field, they can join it. It's something that can grow, but you need a starting point. But what you do is you go on and you tell your story, like why you want to win it. You say, what are you going to do with the $20,000? It's all this stuff, and like it explains like why you want to be on the cover of it, or what makes you different for everyone else. What is the biggest thing, and how can you change health and fitness in the world today? And I can't change it all across, but I can change it in a section that I think needs to be changed, that I think gives hope to what's happening. And I think it's great because next month is it's Cancer Survivor Month, which is awesome. So I think this whole thing ends on it, which is awesome. But right now it started off with like I think 100 people in each group, and then it goes to top 20, and then top 15, and then about I don't know, what do we say, 10 hours from now it goes to top 10. I'm in second place right now, so yeah, we're getting there. And then after the 10 hours, it goes to top 5. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you have to win your 5 people, and then you go into like quarterfinals, semifinals, quarterfinals, or whatever it is to the finals. But you're versing everyone in the U.S. then at that point. So it's a lot more of a like high stake things. You know, you have to impress more people, I guess. But at the end of the day, like I came in this, you know, saying I'm not going to go out of my way to like go way and beyond and try and grab votes. Like I'm hoping my story and what I want to do with it will help. Like the money that I'm getting at 20K, I'm putting 5K aside to a family I can give to MSK that needs it. I'm taking 5K and giving it to Power Monkey. I talked to or they own a Dave Granthy that I want to use for sponsoring people to go. I want to send a cancer survivor there to experience what I experienced. And then I want to take the other amount that I have and use it to put into this program to use it either as a fundraiser for people that can't afford it, that, you know, their bills are too high, that can, you know, use it, or I can give it out and build a like an actual app or something off of it that can people can come in, get the help they need off of that. So
That's amazing.
mm-hmm.
That is phenomenal. Okay, so obviously, after listening to your story, anybody that's listening right now, please go vote for Beau. I can't think of anybody more deserving of that spot and that money. Like your mission, what you believe in, what you're trying to achieve. Like you got to be a serial killer if you can't get behind that kind of stuff, right? So,
make my wish come true.
Yeah, is there a link that I can share in the show notes?
Okay, there is a link. Yeah, and
okay.
and it's a cool thing. Like when you sign on, it'll show like a really big picture of me, which is nice. I have a T-shirt that I made that says "Cancer made me who I am today."
You're wearing it right now, which I can see.
I am wearing it right now. It's one of my favorite things. Yeah,
I
wear it around. It's funny because like I wear it because it's something I'm proud of, but at the same time, it's like I have more people stop me and ask about what's on the back. My back of my T-shirt talks about my program. Mm-hmm. I have more people stop and ask me about it, and people message me about it than actually people ask me, "Oh, how are you doing?" Or and I'm like, they don't know that I beat it, which is awesome. You'll never know by looking at somebody. Yeah. But it's cool because the competition you can vote for free or you can donate, which is awesome. They donate to this really great organization, the Andrew McDonald fundraiser. They do it. So your votes count as that. So if you want to use money, you can. Yeah. But there's 4 hours left now. I just looked it over. But no, it's exciting. So it's going well.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll put in the show notes below the link to go vote. And then also, if you don't mind me asking, send me a link to your program too. Because anybody and everybody that's going through cancer, I'm sure that they feel somewhat lonely. And and like you said before, there's not a lot of information. So I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are either going through it or know somebody that can go through it. And not only do you get a really dope community, but you got a coach that understands and can help you become your best self.
I will say this too, if there's any coaches that are out there, one of the best things that I've ever done for the community in general, I met this girl who took over Barbell for Boobs. It was this massive CrossFit organization. Now it's called Girls Gone RX. And they have a Guys Gone RX as well. But I was helping a co-author for a program that any coach can go and take now. It's for free. And it's all about breast cancer. So you can go and learn about breast cancer, the nutrition behind it, the lifts you can and can't do, kind of incorporate it into it and get like a basic certification towards it. So it's another way to like help people that are in that need. So something in your back pocket. So if you want to help these people, it's something, I'm not saying you can go use it and then be like, I'm certified. Yeah. But like, it's a very good free step to like get a basic understanding for the mental side, the nutrition side, and the fitness side about what they go through, explain what the cancer is. I had the pleasure of being able to read through it, edit it, add things to it, change things to it. So it was awesome to be able to be a part of it, and it's free. I'll also send you that so you can have that, because that's also amazing to have just for any coach. If they might know one person that's going through it now or somebody that went through it. So now, you know, they'll have it for the next time someone has it. They can help them out.
That is so dope. Yes, please, please. All the things, just send it all. We'll put it in the show notes below. Anything that you might be interested, we'll put that there so it's easy for you to find that. But I want to finish this up with one final question, if that's okay with you.
Sure. I'm not moving to where you are. You're moving back.
I know. Okay, hold on. Have you ever been to downtown Kansas City, though?
No. Isn't that where people got shot?
Kansas City? Fine. Oh, the Chiefs parade? Yes. Yeah. Fun fact, I literally live like a minute away from where that was at. It was at Union Station, and that day was Valentine's Day. And Calvin and I actually had a reservation at a restaurant that was literally at Union Station right there. So we're like, we're not going to dinner. And usually downtown Kansas City is just packed with people. And I remember I got done working. I think I was coaching or something. And I walk outside and I didn't see anybody. Like I didn't see a lot of people. And then I like was looking at Instagram and TikTok. And then all of a sudden it popped up and I'm like, oh, that's why. Okay. So little rabbit hole. Sorry. We're all like all three of us right here, major ADHD brains. So welcome to the Rabbit Hole podcast. But going back to
last question.
Last question. Thank you. Now, like I said before, a lot of people struggle in their own ways. Okay, whether they're going through cancer or their own struggles, divorce, sickness, depression, what have it. If somebody who is in the middle of struggling, okay, what would you tell them right now to help them keep pushing forward? I'm kind of putting you on a spotlight right now.
Yeah, I just had I had the professional, the dumbass, dark remark, and then I had the good remark. Just go through my head.
Give us all three, man.
I mean, I guess the professional thing is the biggest thing that helps me. I won't lie. Is try therapy. I won't lie. I go to it. I think it's amazing. It's something I used to go to and then got back into a year ago or 6 months ago. It's something that's really helped me again. I think it's amazing to do. And if it's I work with the MSK people that are over there. So my therapist deals with cancer patients and they understand how it works. And they really are able to work with you through your problems. If you think, they might not know what's happening or understand you, they do. I think it's great. So I would say that, or in your field, try and find a therapist in that way. That's my professional one. Mm-hmm. My other one is, you can always kick yourself in the ass and remember that there's a kid with 10 surgeries and cancer that's doing better than you. If you want to, jokingly. But I mean, at the end of the day, I still do high lows. I think it's the simplest thing. What are your 3 highs from the day? What are your 3 lows from the day? And it can be the simplest thing in the world. Today was a really rough day for me. My body's cramping. Body just really hurts. I had work on the other day. Every day I have work on, the next day is really bad. So pain's really high. I also worked all day today. But my high today was I got to see one of my clients today, and found out her dog, who's also battling cancer, had her first round of chemo, and the dog's doing really well, and they got all the meds. So I was that's a high. That's awesome. I also got to talk to my girlfriend today and hear about her day and see how excited she is about what she's doing in her whole world. Made me really happy that, I can pass out after I do my last thing today and not have to worry that she's, upset about anything. And then, those things outweigh, and that's what makes me, a little bit easier at the end of the day. Yeah. And it's always that thing of improvement. Like I said earlier, what's my resilience I'm going through right now? What's I can do better? What's my courage? It's me opening up, be vulnerable, open up about it, reach out to somebody. Guys, I know it's hard to do, but smack your best friend and be like, hey, can you just have 5 minutes to talk? Or just reach out to your brother. Reach out to anyone. You can reach out to me. I will say this. It is the craziest thing in the world. I get on these podcasts, and in the next 6 months, I will have my inbox filled because people will reach out being like, I don't know you, but can I open up to you? Mm-hmm. And every Sunday I go to my inbox and I click one and I go, hey, what's up? Sorry. What's going on? How can I help? Mm-hmm. And it might be a 5-minute conversation with hey, never mind. I figured it out. Thank you. If I need you, I'll reach back out. Or it might be, I'm going through this, and this. How do I deal with it? Or it's the craziest thing. Sometimes it has nothing to do with cancer. Yeah. Too. So that's, I guess that's my, be vulnerable, go see a therapist, Yeah. Go to therapy.
All these principles. What?
Think of me.
Think of me. Think of the kicking ass that I would give you if you were standing in front of me. No, it's all these basic principles that are really, really impactful, but are really, really simple. For a lot of people, when they're struggling, they tend to dig themselves in a hole and they seclude themselves. So forcing yourself to be with people, getting therapy, being around your friends, asking them for help, and especially when you're really struggling, it's probably the hardest time to do so, but that's when you need to do it the most. And then also, I love the 3 highs and the 3 lows. Any of my clients that are listening right now. Yeah. Any of my clients that hear me right now, every single time I start a call, it's okay. Tell me your wins. What went well this week? And at the beginning, for a lot of them, they're like, nothing happened. I was like, bullshit. A lot of really great things happen, but you're just being an asshole to yourself and you're not paying attention to it. It's because we're programmed in our brain to look at the negatives. And if we don't take a step back and look at the gratitude, right? It's like a gratitude journal, looking at your 3 highs. If we don't actively look like that, it can get really dark for us.
Yep, 100%.
And so taking a simple second to acknowledge those 3 highs and those 3 lows, like I love that it's so simple, but so impactful. So I love those. It's awesome, but very, very applicable advice. Freaking amazing. Toby, do you have anything else to ask or join in on?
So throughout your whole journey, right, you had a lot of paradigm shifts from, hey, this is what I did previously, this is what my values were then, and this is what they are now. How has that, or has that led to anything specific where you're like, I completely changed my stand on that? Like, this is what I was living and dying for before then, and now that I've seen other sides.
Yeah. Kudos to you. This is what I'm talking about. Good question. I love this. I haven't had this one I don't think I've had this one in a while. This is great. It has. I was that person where, I guess it goes back to like, you know, when I grew up and I didn't think I was the smartest person just because of my speech, like everything growing up, dyslexia, all that. And like, that's why I was always an artist, a visual person. Like math, science, nope. History, I can get behind. English, nope. Language, no. But arts was like my thing, and thinking outside the box and building. But like, I knew like from day one, like I was like, I'm going to be an Olympian. Like that was like, I forget what it was. Like I went to, I remember it was actually, it was Dave Durante. I told him this story. It's the first time me and him met. 2000 Olympic trials. My mom was like helping ushering people and everything, and I got to walk around with them and, you know, take them to each spot. And for people that don't know, this is how old I am now thinking about this. This old. Like they would write the score down. They would hand me the card that had the score with their name on it. I would run through the whole stadium, through the back alleyways, into a parking lot, into a trailer, hand the card to the trailer guy. The guy would then look at it, write it down, hit a button, and then it would go on the TV. So it's not like how it's done now where they put out and then immediately it goes up. It's all wireless now. But like, I remember seeing him there and seeing them all completely on the floor. And I was like, this is what I am going to be. This is who it is. And I remember busting my ass every single day doing that. And then when I got hurt, and I said, it was the hardest thing. I remember I was in a conference room. My mom, like my coach told me, you're done. You can't do this. I tried coming back, worked through the pain. Wasn't worth it. Like I was trying to be the first person to do a move on the vault. I remember, and I was like, I want to go do this. And they were like, you can't. Your shoulders will blow out again. It's not worth it. Like you're 14 at this point. And I was like, you know what? Then I'm going to be an NCAA top 10 athlete. I'm going to go for a different sport. And I found 3 sports that I was really good at, 2 sports I was nationally ranked in. And, you know, same thing happened with pole vaulting. Like I ended up blowing out my shoulder and my wrist my senior year. I had all 3 colleges I was looking at drop all my scholarships. They're like, you're not coming back from this. And I was like sitting in the hole. I remember the head coach of Lehigh, because I used to coach jump at the middle, the college for high school. He was like, if you come back, I'll give you a full ride. I was like, fuck it. Yeah, did it. Jumped there. And during that whole entire, 4 years, I was like, I'm going to go to NCAA. I was like, I'm going to train my ass off. And then, injuries after injuries kept on happening. I pushed through, I placed top 3 1 year for our championship league, which is awesome. I was like, at least I did that. And then after that, Olympic weightlifting came around. I was like, I have a chance to go to national. I qualified for AOs twice. I was like, I have a chance to go to, AO finals if I hit this weight or do this, and that. I was like, this is possible again. Like if I hit AO finals, there's Pan Ams, there's this, there's that. Like I have a long way, but it's possible. And then, I got hurt again. And then after cancer, I restarted training myself, again, being like, I can get back into this. Like, I'm strong. I power clean 265, weighing 165 pounds. I was like, I can do this again. And then when my knee kind of went south, that's kind of when, my mom came up to me and she sat down and she was like, we're done. Like, we're done. And like, she always talk, it's always me and her. Like, we always talk about it. Like, it's just me and her kind of like going through all this shit together. She goes, we're done. And I was like, yeah. And it was like the first time ever of me realizing, being like, yeah, I'm done. And it was like a big sob, like, everything was done. Like, it was like that relief of letting go. And it's funny because like I would go coach then after that. I remember getting back to the gym and like my barbell that was like, how expensive, like $1,000, $2,000 barbell. Like I spent all my money saving. It was like a $2,500 barbell, and it's like people are using it to squat and bench with on a rack without the bungees or the clear, and it's getting torn up. I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like, like the spin's gone off it, or like, I don't put on my ollie shoes anymore. Like, and it's like people are like, come on, let's work out. Like I'll go to a trainer's workout and they're like, let's go, balls to the wall, first place, let's go. And I'm like, no. I'm like, my whole thing now is just, working around being pain free and just, living an active life now. And I shifted from, the Olympics to that NCAA championship, going to Oregon, to like, going back to like nationally ranked stuff like that and doing all that and seeing what it's like. But I kind of shifted out finally to, I'm okay where I'm at. Like my career, I told everyone at Power Monkey, I was like, I'm not an athlete anymore, but now I'm a coach. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Until I, place first this weekend in High Rocks, and then it's over again.
Then you're like, fuck that. I'm right back.
I'm literally going to text you and I'm going to be like, fuck me. Don't say that, guys. I'm fine. But, no, but I think that was a great question. I think that's where I'm at now. And it's great too, because it's, it's how I am now. I think it's amazing. Listening to my body more and being able to do that. I used to not listen as much, and just being able to take it day at a time, knowing this is what I need to get through today. Like I was supposed to do a big lift today, and I ended up doing like a nice easy run with some striders and then some PT work. And I stretched for like an hour and a half, and I feel okay right now. But I could be feeling a lot worse. So yeah, it's good.
That was a good question, Toby.
Very
I need
good
to up my game on questions. That made me feel like I know. If you're listening to this, Beau was wagging his finger at me. Come on, guys. But Beau, I really appreciate you coming on and telling your story.
Of course.
Like freaking epic. Again, guys, if you're listening, I'm going to put everything in the show notes below so it's easy for you to grab. But do us a favor, okay? If this episode helped you in some small way, or if you feel like this episode would help somebody else in your life, please, please, please share this with them. Share it on your stories. Our big purpose of this podcast is just to share the good word, just to help you guys become the CEO of your health, get you the tools, the skills, the knowledge you need to become your best version of yourself. And big believer, all three of us here can definitely get behind it. How you treat your body and your mind has a huge hand in that. So share the good word with us. Feel free to leave us a review. Subscribe, all the different things. We've got some cool resources below if you want to grab them as well for free. But besides that, Beau, appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming on.
You too.
All right. It's really good to see you. Until next week, guys. Bye.